Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hello, welcome to the program. It's the 27th of August. Jeez. And it's a Tuesday. That means Susan's on the other line. Hi, Suze.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. Me too.
You sound vaguely like you're talking in a space capsule, but I can handle that.
I do. Echoey?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
I can hear you. It's not a problem, and it might be my phone. I actually called twice today to make sure I was getting a good connection. So go ahead. I can hear you. If it sounds good to our listener, parens.
Our did you make that a singular listener?
No, I put an S in parens.
I think, yeah. I don't think you needed the parens.
Just pulling your leg. I'm in my own house, and it makes me rather giddy.
Yeah, well, not for long, I'm sure. So, anyway, welcome back from the desert Southwest. I know you were in. Did you have like a sort of respite from politics while you were away?
It's hard to get a respite from politics. People just look at you. You can see them sizing you up wherever you go. So you try and drop little hints, and then they'll hug you or something. Yeah, I think this country is in the grips of a mass mental incipient hysteria.
We're not in good shape. Let's put it that
No.
way. No, we're definitely
I'm just saying that I think it's just like everyone.
Yeah.
And people are trying to redo their own lives and to make themselves more comfortable, but it has nothing to do with their own lives.
Yeah, it's just a level of stress that's astonishing in
right.
everybody, and
that you cannot vacation from.
No, it's something. And
honestly, how can you go on a vacation and not notice that the rainforest is deliberately being burned, and now they can't put it out, and by the way, it's going to change their whole climate, so they won't be able to grow the crops that they burn the rainforest for?
Well, listen, I know, you don't know where to start. Much of that land is being burned on purpose. I don't know that a lot of people understand that. On purpose by Brazilian farmers who have always cleared the forest in that way. They're doing it particularly aggressively, it seems, sort of giving the middle finger to the rest of the world. And I don't know if did you see where the...
the Brazilian government is refusing to take the G7 money because, they ain't a colony no more.
Right. And there's a good piece in, I think it was the New York Times today, about the Brazilian, understand how Brazilians feel about this. And they're enraged that the world is deciding what to do with their land. We all claim the Amazon because the globe relies on it. But to them, it's their land, and they want everybody else to back off. And because Brazil's part of South America, that has an ugly colonial history of Europeans and, the Western nations raping and pillaging their resources, that's where they're coming from. And they're disinclined to, accept charity. It gets their... I understand how this all plays out, but the reality is the bigger picture.
There's a science to this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. The bigger picture.
And we are a globe.
Yeah.
And and when you start doing things that mess with the globe, it does become an international concern.
And then, Susan, I just want...
here's the rub. We have absolutely no right to say a word to anyone about anything ever.
Yes, that's what I wanted to add. And I also wanted to add that for, again, countries like Brazil, even countries like India, China, that are, capable of being economic juggernauts on their own, really, really resent when they're asked to curtail their economic rise, because of ecological concerns, when certainly the United States of America, Europe, Russia, and everybody else didn't. It's like the rich got theirs, and now you've got to play by a different set of rules. So again, understanding how they're viewing this with a great deal of anger. I do get that, but as we said, this is global, and we're now all a little bit more woke about it. And unless they're really climate change deniers, which many are because it suits their economic interest to be willfully stupid about this, just like Donald Trump and the Republicans. I don't know. The most amazing thing is Trump sitting out the G7 meeting.
Not showing up.
And then, but you know what?
There isn't any most amazing part.
No, that's true.
Then
but you know what?
The other most amazing part.
But the excuse given by his people for why he didn't show was scheduling conflicts. You're there for a weekend.
What? How can you have a scheduling conflict when you've gone to the meeting?
They got specific. They were doing like little offshoot one-on-ones with other leaders, they said, and they even named the two countries. I forget which two countries. Meanwhile, the two countries they named were, as anyone could see, at the meeting.
Well, of course, because there was only one chair empty.
It's a level of lying that you would be alarmed if a 4-year-old engaged in it. A 4-year-old should be a better liar. You gotta, if you're gonna lie, understand that people can verify certain things. I don't know.
No, it really is like the Wizard of Oz with the curtain being drawn and he is standing there saying, "Don't look."
Well, it's like, I was thinking the other...
There's a chair that's empty at the table. Everybody else is there.
Yeah. It's also
Who you
other...
with Putin?
The emperor wears no clothes is the other, fairy tale. Everybody knows that he wears no clothes.
That image is just too hard to bear.
I know. But to see our media, again, still covering him in any measure like a rational human being. Like talking today, well, the president did signal that maybe this Chinese, he's willing to sit down and talk. I'm thinking, how can anyone for a minute glom on to whatever verbal diarrhea has come out of his god-awful mouth, and think that there's something substantive there. It's there, and then it disappears, and then something else is there, and why aren't people...
Or if it is a substantive policy announcement, he changes his mind 2 days later anyway. It doesn't matter whether it's substantive or not.
Right.
It doesn't matter, and it has always been thus. If Trump says, "Believe me," don't.
Exactly.
If he says he'll pay you, he won't.
Right.
If he says he's for it, he's against it.
That's
if he says you are, he is.
Right.
That's all.
Everything he says is projection. Everything he says about somebody else is projection. And the other thing that is clearly happening all the time now is that, and this is why I really think he's unraveling, his obsession with Obama is now off the charts. He cannot talk about any issue.
You can't find Hillary anymore. It's Obama.
Obama was humiliated. Obama is good. And rewriting history and Obama. He must have said Obama 25 times in 10 minutes at one of those recent, things where he stops en route to the helicopter and deigns to speak to the media.
Well, may his blood pressure go up in correlation to his babble.
Anyway, Barbara wants us to, it reminds me, and you're absolutely right, Barbara, that one of the big reasons that the Brazilians clear the rainforest is not to grow a crop per se. It's to graze cattle, because Brazil is I think the number one beef exporter to the world.
That's true, but now they're also
growing soy.
Want to be growing soy.
Yeah, but people are saying, what can I do? What can I do? Stop eating beef, okay? Right now. Your doctor will be happy. Just stop. I mean,
or at least just drop it to once a week.
Yeah, you can't wring your hands about, the lungs of the earth are burning and what can we do, and I feel so helpless. Well, you can stop rewarding the people who are burning the lungs of the world to feed you. Actually,
but that also means, but it also means dairy. It also, a cow is a cow. And then there's the problem that if we all turn our attention to poor overfished fish, so the answer is really the majority of us need to get into beans and fast.
And beans are good for you. This is true.
I know.
Okay, I got a few little just somewhat off the beaten track stories.
I'm just saying, I want a steak right now. I don't know about you. Go ahead. What?
I know. I love them. Oh, I do. Okay, this is a little item. A guy named Dinesh Chawla. No reason why you should know him, but he's in the same sort of biz as Donald Trump was in, and in fact did deals with the Donald, and they did some hotel deals in the Mississippi Delta that I guess sort of went awry in some measure. But this is a former business partner of the President of the United States. He was arrested just the other day at the Memphis airport because they had video of him arriving at that airport a few days earlier and taking 2 suitcases that were not his and putting them in his car and driving off. They found the suitcases in his car, and Trump's former business partner said this: "I know it's wrong, but stealing luggage, I don't know. I do it for the thrill and excitement."
Oh, my God. I mean, really? It's not some poor person struggling to feed his family. There's no Les Miserables in sight when you need one. It's some rich, excuse this expression, fuck, just off, stealing your suitcase?
Yeah, according to police records. I can't even. Airport security footage recording him August 18th removing another passenger's suitcase from the baggage claim carousel. And, taken off with it. And
lock him up.
He was arrested when he returned on Thursday. And, whatever. He never knows what's in the luggage. He just has the thrill of taking it. And, oh, my.
He's a kleptomaniac.
I don't know. What do you think?
He's a kleptomaniac. It has nothing to do with getting with having whatever it is he's stolen, it has to do with stealing. He's a kleptomaniac.
Okay, I have another little story here that, because we don't pay attention to a lot of the smaller news now that we got such big stuff all the time. The federal agency that's supposed to keep track of our election financing is the Federal Election Commission, right? And they are there to keep an eye on how money is being raised and by whom and from whom and spent during national elections. Well, it turns out that the Federal Elections Commission cannot even meet anymore. You know why?
They don't have a. They don't have. There's nobody.
They don't
on
have
it.
a quorum.
Yeah,
They
don't
have
a quorum.
it finally happened when the vice chair of the FEC resigned yesterday, and leaving, I guess, three people. They can't take any action at all. The guy, by the way, and get this, because this is the Trump era, the vice chair that resigned is a guy named Matthew Peterson. And if his name rings a vague bell, he's been at the FEC for a long time, but he's one of the guys that Trump and McConnell tapped to sit on the federal judiciary, federal appeals court. And he showed up for his,
Oh, and I remember him.
He knew nothing.
He knew nothing.
He sat there in front of those senators and it was actually a Republican senator, strangely named John Kennedy of Louisiana, who asked him some very basic kinds of questions.
He asked him some basic procedural
And the guy
question.
was clueless and clueless again and again and again, and he was laughed off the but that's the caliber of person that Trump and McConnell are packing our federal courts with. So anyway, he has resigned from the FEC now as well, and was praised by his, I guess, three remaining colleagues who were, snoozing in their offices for his wonderful work for the people of the United States. So just saying, the Federal Elections Commission, as we head into this most important election, it was never particularly a great watchdog agency, but it is absolutely, essentially non-existent. And there's no effort on the part, believe me, if a reporter would even bother to ask, are you going to fill these seats on the FEC? Hell no, they got bigger fish to fry. They're still packing the courts. Just saying, we got no government. We have no
he's dismantled it.
functional government. And that's not just hyperbole. Okay, Suze, yesterday I'm in my car. A man comes on the radio, and I turn on CNN, and I hear Trump, and I think, oh God, no. And then I realize it's live, and it's a news he's taking.
It's that news conference?
Yeah, it's the news
no.
conference. And I come in just as the reporter asks him if he's trying to make money off of being the president of the United States by suggesting that the next G7 be held at his resort in Florida. And I listened to his response. You would think.
Oh, no, I lose money. I lose money. I've lost so much money. This is a charity thing. I'm going to be broke for years for being president here.
But he went in, you would have thought, you could see him like getting into the groove of what he used to do. He was doing a sales pitch. And I'm telling you, we got these bungalows. I mean, call them a bungalow. They're big enough to, for an entire delegation. We got acreage, the biggest acreage. We just, 5 minutes from the airport, this and that, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. He went on and on. This in response to a question about whether or not he might be, in violation of the emoluments clause or ethically challenged a little bit here by suggesting that he personally, his business, be enriched by having the next G7. Nobody, no president, as ever. He's just, I was so blown away.
Well, because the answer is no, he doesn't see anything wrong with it. That's why he took this job in the first place.
Right. God almighty.
I mean, remember way back in the beginning, this is why he was doing this, for branding purposes.
Oh, wait a minute. This just in. Brazilian's president has walked back his initial rejection of the 22 mil from the G7 to help fight the fires. But President Bolsonaro said any consideration of the aid remained tied up with French President Emmanuel Macron, who said, Macron has to apologize to Bolsonaro before Bolsonaro will accept the money.
Why? For what?
Let's see. Here's what he told journalists. Before speaking or accepting anything from France, even if it comes from the best possible intentions, Macron must retract his words, and then we can talk. Apparently, he felt Macron was suggesting, I don't know. It was that colonial thing. It was, but I don't know exactly, and I don't see the remarks here.
Yeah, I just can't.
Okay, it's just, you know what? These are supposedly
they're all 3-year-olds.
grown men.
3-year-olds.
Grown men. The world is burning, and
they're sitting. Right. They're sitting around saying, "You admit that I can piss further than you can. Admit it right now, and I'm holding my country hostage until you say that." That's what they're doing. They're 3-year-olds. 2-year-olds. We're being rude to children. I know.
No, we are. No, it's true. Okay. The Washington Post had an editorial talking about how Trump's stunning incoherence was on full display at the G7. It really is. Hey, did you see the picture of Melania? Looking like she was
kissing Trudeau.
Yes.
No, kissing my
holding Trump's hand and
I know.
essentially betting Trudeau. Oh, Amy's telling me that
I saw that look, it was coming at me from a man whom I found so horribly repulsive that I literally leapt behind my husband, cowering.
Oh.
Yes, she had the look of love about her, didn't she?
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Oh,
or at the very least, lust.
Yeah, serious lust.
But imagine what a pleasure it is to turn your face up to that instead of that.
Oh, God. Well, I don't think she turns her face up to that.
No, she hasn't. No, she did once.
Well, she had to do it more than once, Susan, in order to...
That kid looks like him.
The kid does look like him. Poor kid. You can't pick your parents.
No.
Okay, here's a shocker. Susan, tell me how shocked you are by this sentence. Investigators scrutinizing video outside Epstein's cell find some footage unusable.
I know.
Jeez!
It's like you can't write this stuff.
No
conspiracy here, folks. Oh, one of the cameras, the one that's aimed directly at the cell, that one doesn't work.
Right.
However, the one that does work, that of course doesn't actually show anything, that one was working just fine. We don't know how long this other one has not been working, nor whether it's due to deplorable conditions or some vast conspiracy.
Now, but
mean, they can't.
Here's the thing,
They can't shovel their way out of this no matter how hard they try.
No, but they are going to. They already have the medical examiner's autopsy saying he died by suicide. Okay, so he wasn't murdered.
Right.
And
but that doesn't
little
answer
by
anything.
Little, no, but it is so unbelievable how all of a sudden both of the guards, one of whom, by the way, was really not a guard, fell asleep. And, oh, my God, how – well, wait, we have a caller.
They were both working overtime.
One voluntarily, the other not. And he had no roommate, which he was supposed to have. So they left him alone. Somehow the camera goes awry. The two guards fall asleep.
Can you not believe that somebody was paid a sum of money for all of these things to fall so carefully in place?
Listen, if this were a movie, you'd say, come on. Right, it's so blatant. Anyway, we have a call.
It's harder not to believe it. And I don't really like conspiracy theories, but, at this point, not believing it begins to feel like a conspiracy theory.
Anybody who buys the official version is out of their friggin' minds. Okay, we have a caller, Susan. Hello?
I was just checking in last night with a little Wikipedia on...
hey, get on your phone. You're on speaker. I can't hear you.
I am on my phone. I'm on a headset.
There you go. That's better.
Okay.
Anyway, she's 25 years older than him.
Wait, who are we talking about here? Macron's wife.
Mrs. Macron.
Yeah,
Bridget.
I know.
Oh, yeah, we know.
She was his teacher.
I didn't.
She was his teacher.
I know.
It was
blowing my mind when I was reading that.
I know.
Oh, yes.
That would never. Oh, those
French.
French.
Somebody made a comment about how she looked, and kind of a little rough around the edges. So I decided to, look at some photographs. And what I noticed with her hair is so full, and it kind of drapes down around her neck, and trying to hide that, that old age neck that we get.
I have no idea what you mean.
Well, her hair falls down and comes under her chin. Oh,
I know. I'm teasing you.
And, right.
But anyway, I thought, oh my goodness, I had no idea that she was that much older.
Oh, yeah.
This explains a lot.
Okay, so apparently Bolsonaro said something about his wife. But so why would and then Macron said something else to him? What?
Yeah.
But again, this is boys fighting over and the friggin' Amazon is on fire.
Yes, they're children. They're just children.
Oh God! But yeah,
Actually,
he married
his. More credit.
He married his.
That's right. I've decided I'm going to stop saying this because I have a lot more respect for my grandchildren.
We just need to take them down for who they are.
God Almighty.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Girl.
Yes.
You're
welcome. Thanks and don't you remember
when just plain old awful human beings? At some point you just have to say, and this is where it just stops. At some point you just have to say, you know what? There's no excuse for putting your support behind the likes of this kind of human being. I don't care what you get out of it. I don't care what's in your pocket.
Well,
and more accurately, what's not in your pocket. There is no ethical, human, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, you name it, way that you can justify supporting the likes of that human being. And that needs to count in this country again. And to the extent that it doesn't count with anybody who still supports Trump, that is totally on you and a reflection at this point, a reflection of your character. It just is.
Well, Susan, you're speaking to the choir, singing to the choir. So.
I know, but it just is. I'm tired of, I can't get any more outraged. You can't, you can't just keep, you can't.
Well, don't say that, because the odds are we do have levels of outrage we have yet to tap. I just want to point out that the feds have said, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, that they will seek the death penalty in the for the perp of the Tree of Life massacre here. And this comes after the Attorney General, Barr, has reinstated. They had a moratorium at the federal level of death penalty, going through with it. And they're going to be taking out a lot of these people now on the federal level. Here's the problem. The people at the synagogue, many of those that were directly impacted by this, generally, I don't think I can say this for all, I'm not sure, but this was a very sort of progressive congregation, Dor Hadash. And
they wouldn't want an execution, right?
No, and one of the widows, Miri Rabinowitz, who's a wonderful woman who I have known and worked with, wrote to Barr a few weeks ago, begging him not to do what he ended up doing. And she said, I don't think that justice is served by doing this, but more importantly, her husband, Dr. Jerry, just one of the most gentle, kind guys you'd ever want to know. And she says this: imposing capital punishment would be a cruel and bitter irony, given her husband's abhorrence of the death penalty. It falls on deaf ears. It fell on.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. But several people from Tree of Life wrote letters to Barr asking him, please. And the other reason is they don't want to go through, they actually don't even want a trial. They just want them to reach a deal with him, and that'd probably be sparing his life.
Right.
Because they don't...
Because they don't have to go through that. Why
Exactly.
do they want to go through that?
They don't want to relive it. And she said that giving a trial would give a public platform to this man from which she can spew the most vicious and sadly infectious brand of hate. That from Miri Rabinowitz, and again, because it's Attorney General William Barr of the Trump administration, absolutely turning a deaf ear. One of the rabbis as well, same reasons. They don't care. So they're going to be, and since many of these people were there themselves, are literal survivors, they're going to end up being called. So they're going to have to be, I can't imagine. I would imagine
no, it's
the
just
trauma.
Terrible.
What would the trauma of reliving in a courtroom? The excruciating detail, of the questioning. I don't know.
Well, that's how our justice system works, Lynn, and that's not to change the subject, but just to point out that's one of the reasons that women don't always come forward after they've been sexually assaulted.
Yes, that's right.
Because they are avoiding further trauma. They'd rather just get on with their lives.
Yeah. Milton has sent me a little item that maybe explains the little, pissing contest that these two are in. The two leaders are currently embroiled in a feud over the fires that are raging through the Amazon rainforest, much of which is blah, 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 blah. But their argument took a nasty turn when Mr. Bolsonaro endorsed a post on Facebook insulting the French First Lady, Brigitte Macron. And then they point out she's 66 years old, 25 years older than her husband, and the post compares Bolsonaro, who's 64, and his wife Michelle, who's 37, with a photo of the Macrons. This sounds like something Trump did with him and Melania next to Ted Cruz and his wife. Remember that? Do you remember Trump going, making fun of Cruz's wife because she wasn't beautiful?
Right.
And then Macron, asked about it, said, Bolsonaro said very disrespectful things about my wife. I have great respect for the Brazilian people and can only hope they soon have a president who is up to the job. That's why Bolsonaro wants an apology. So the French president who's offering him this millions of bucks has to apologize first to the guy who offended his wife. You know what? Oh my God. Remember how we can't have women as Susan. Remember, women can't serve as presidents. They're too, emotional.
Emotional. Yep. Imagine two women sitting up there comparing the size of their husband's members. Because that's basically what these two are doing. My prize is better than your prize. My chattel is better than your chattel. The whole thing's disgusting.
When Trump first met Macron's wife, right after he became president, and he had to go over to France for some reason, that's when he saw the French parade that made him want to do the, tanks in
right.
D.C. And so that's when he first saw Brigitte Macron. And Trump looked her up and down and said right out loud to, I believe, Macron, boy, she's got a nice shape, I think he said. You don't remember that?
I mean, he should have just,
Okay.
Did you hear about the speaking of what people do to girls and women? Did you hear about the school district that expelled a 16-year-old girl or a 15-year-old girl for reporting a sexual assault because of her sexual activity? Expelled her. She has not been back to school for 2 years.
She reported...
They never even investigated her claim. They just said, no, you were doing this and you enjoyed it, and that was that.
And where was
this?
So
now she's finally in court suing their butts off.
God.
But they basically deprived a 16-year-old of a public education. And by the way, there's such a thing as, what is it, Title 10? I mean, isn't that what they have to comply with? Yeah. That's for all schools, not just colleges.
Wow.
It's another, and it sort of seems like it's every other day, of institutions and courts being angry at women for reporting sexual assaults and the consequences to the men. And these institutions that are supposed to protect women are just summarily ruining their lives.
Yep.
And making public their determination that boys' lives matter more.
I want to add something to this. Again, this is from an editorial, I believe this was a New York Times editorial. The Title 10 program, 50 years old, unsung hero of American public health, Just last year, Title X clinics served more than 4 million women, almost half of whom had no insurance at all. It is believed that Title X clinics help prevent more than 822,000 unintended pregnancies. Also, an audit shows that the feds probably save $7 for every dollar spent on this program. Well,
how much are they cutting?
They're gutting it. New recipients of Title X grants this year, certainly not Planned Parenthood, they are going to Catholic-affiliated groups that promote the so-called rhythm method. That's where your federal dollars are going. Not to give real contraception to poor women. The editorial ends this way: the whole sorry affair is a reminder that while many Americans are rightly afraid of a future without reproductive rights, in some places in this country, and for some people, that future is already here.
It's in a lot of places.
Women have no access to
No.
basic. We're not talking abortion.
And we're living in, and they are living in states where doctors have no First Amendment rights, where they are, by legislation, prohibited from telling the truth and giving honest medical advice to their patients. I mean, how that passes constitutional muster, I don't understand.
Let me share some other facts about women and reproductive rights. 43 states have enacted policies that have to do with pregnant women. A few of them are positive in that they give pregnant women priority for substance abuse treatment and things like that. But the largest portion of all of these legislation, is punitive.
Yeah,
so
they're going
that
to throw women in jail if their babies die.
Also, it defines a lot of states defines drinking alcohol, even one glass, let's say, of wine, during pregnancy as child abuse. So a pregnant woman can be accused of abusing her child. Policies that define alcohol use during pregnancy as child abuse were associated with an increase of more than 12,000 preteen births, which is to say that women, these policies are backfiring and making women fearful of getting any prenatal care. States with punitive policies had more drinking, not less. See, this is what people don't understand, the consequences of a lot of legislation, you know? It's like 3 strikes and you're out, and then you ruin the lives of literally millions of people. Somebody's serving a life sentence without chance of parole because he picked up a pair of socks and put them in his pocket. States with these punitive policies had more drinking, not less. The studies have found that child abuse policies lead to decreased prenatal care.
Well, but let's be honest. We assume that we know what they want to do, what their goal is. I think their goal is simply to save money and drive people out of the services, and you know, and if a few people that they don't want born anyway don't get born, or a few, you know, women die, who cares? That's what I think.
The biggest.
I think they dress it all up in an issue that people in this, quote, pro-life issue, but it has nothing to do with that.
The thing is,
it has.
I don't think we own a woman's body and her choices. And, I have felt for, any woman who is pregnant, it is true. Pregnant women have been sort of bullied into changing their lives because they're carrying this child who takes precedence over them. And so a single drink is indicative that this is an unfit mother. And that is bullshit.
Well, I mean, taking it from, from a whole generation whose mothers gleefully drank their way and smoked their way.
Yeah. Our mothers, tell me, they drank, they smoked, they lived their lives and then had healthy babies. So everything always goes too far.
Well, because it's not about that.
It's about controlling women.
It's about control and not spending health care dollars.
Yep.
Period. And if you can accomplish them both, ain't that great?
I just want to...
If you can control by not spending money, that's a win-win.
Okay. Are you ready for one more?
Oh, boy. Yeah. Good thing I'm boxing later. Okay.
Yeah, you're going to really, hate to be on the receiving end. Okay, everybody knows how infectious diseases spread, right? Pretty much. And let's just tick off. If a person has an immune system that has been weakened by stress or poor nutrition, they are more vulnerable. If people are crammed into close quarters with one another and denied basic hygiene and health care for expanded periods of time, you are looking at a petri dish for a major infectious disease outbreak. And what I've described, of course, is these detention centers.
Our concentration camps.
Yes, our detention centers where men, women, and children are packed, up to the rafters. These are hotbeds of communicable disease. We already know of 6 children having died in our custody in these facilities. 3 of those deaths were flu-related. And here's what I want to tell you. The Trump administration has said they will not provide flu vaccine to the immigrants that they have detained in these facilities. They actively refuse to vaccinate against the flu these vulnerable people. And these are the people. These are the people that they blame for bringing disease into the United States. No, they come to the United States, and then we make sure they get diseased. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. A spokesman for the United States Customs and Border Protection says that the agency has not historically administered vaccines, and it's just not feasible, and it's not necessary. So... that's that.
Yeah, I mean, let's not look at the point that historically these, quote, detention centers, unquote, have not been filled to the rafters at 10 times capacity, thus creating the conditions where one might want to take those kind of measures. Don't rethink anything now.
Uh-huh. Yeah. We've got a caller. Caller, go ahead, please. Hello?
Hi, ladies. It's Ray from Lawrenceville. How are you today?
We're good. Hi, Joe.
No, it's Ray.
Ray.
Oh, Ray.
Yes, Ray.
See, I can barely hear you, Ray.
I'm going to have to give this up again. I seem to be unable to. My machinery seems to be incompatible.
I can hear you, Ray. I can hear you just fine.
I can hear you perfectly, but Lynn sounds like she's in a barrel under the desk to me.
Yes, she does.
So, should we try to soldier on, or should I give?
Well, you and I can talk. Go ahead.
I agree. I agree with that. You guys talk. Susan Ray is the guy who wrote last week, and
I know who Ray
had it
is.
up to there with your anti-male stuff.
And there are a number of topics on our side that we can't talk about due to dogmatic absolutism. So I'm not going to talk about it.
Okay.
Because we'd have to do it over a drink quietly and not scream at each other.
No. Okay. Well, 2 drinks and then it'll get noisy. But okay.
That's okay. To revisit the capital punishment issue, especially in this case, I'm friends with a relative of some of the victims, and the trauma that family has gone through is unimaginable. They've been transformed into something different than they were, and that's maybe understandable, but still shocking to see.
Yes.
Now, to then for Barr to seek the death penalty on some principle is to subject them to another round of this transformational trauma. And my wife actually served on a jury that was a capital punishment case and was forced to listen to terrible testimony and see photos.
And she's traumatized. Yeah.
Absolutely. And she had to give the death penalty. Thank God they commuted it. But nonetheless, the number of people being subjected to more horrors just to satisfy what? I don't really understand it.
Bloodlust.
I don't either. Well, we totally agree, Ray. It's bloodlust. And in this case, I think it's political. I think they just want to, these people are not above using those people for their purposes, and they don't care if they're hurting them further. They don't.
No, and I agree with Camus. I mean, I would understand if a relative killed him in revenge. That I would understand, right? That's a personal issue. I wouldn't condone it, but I'd understand it. But to have an impassioned mechanism to do this and subject everybody to more of the horrors of it, it's unconscionable, to be honest with you. So anyways, that was
I agree.
I
agree.
Let's stop now while we agree, okay?
Okay.
All right.
That's great.
You have a great week.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you from under my desk in a tin can.
See, he said you were in a garbage can underneath your desk. I thought you were in a space capsule, but we are clearly experiencing the same.
Hey, did you see, speaking of a space capsule, did you see that there is the first case brought, probably, I think it's going to be brought, against this astronaut, American astronaut, for committing potentially a federal crime while in the International Space Station.
What did he do?
It's a she.
What did she do?
She accessed her estranged wife's bank account.
God damn it.
They're involved in a nasty custody dispute.
Yeah, well, that's just stupid.
And she maintains, well, I've always had access, and I was just checking things out. But you think of astronauts up there in space, and to think, here's an astronaut, and she's thinking, I gotta check out what the bitch is up to.
She's on her iPhone.
I know. No, yes. And the estranged wife is apparently used to work for the NSA, and she is really tech savvy. So she made sure she found out. She thought somebody had been, and so she had her bank trace the computers or something that had accessed the account.
Right. Well, this is not any high-level spy stuff. She just checked who logged on to the account.
Okay. And then the source of those computers, and one of the computers was a NASA computer, And that led them to, the space station. I mean, this happened like a year or so ago. She's back down in on terra firma, the one, and had to go to some met with some.
I gotta tell you, Lynn, love and money. Love and money. It just brings everybody down.
Well, there's a little boy in question, and he was the biological son of the woman.
Other one.
The one not in space.
Yes,
and
of course,
when she married the astronaut, she did allow, when she was in full-throated love, she allowed the astronaut to adopt the boy.
Okay.
So both women are legal parents, and it's just an ugly, ugly custody dispute. So I just want to say to a lot of you LGBTQ people, you wanted
people
to
are
get
people.
Yeah, I know. That's what's so funny. You want to get married. And for all you, homophobes, they're just like us. They're just like us. There's no difference. They're people.
Right. And women can do the same stupid things that men do when they're in the same stupid situation. Because guess what? We're all human.
And even though you may be highly educated, these two women are like, way up there educated. And, I mean, one is a friggin' astronaut, but still capable of doing stupid human stuff out of just rage and whatever. I don't know. Amazing. But they say it's the first known crime committed in space. And apparently,
I don't know. I would take this case. They're still legally married. She obtained access and the password to that account. It's not like she stole something to get in. She knew it, and that was from a time when they were not engaged in a terrible thing. And for her to access that, I mean, it's not. She had a key.
Well, that's what that's what she's maintaining. But so anyway, the charge has been made, whether it sticks or not.
Yeah, well,
and then it turns out, Susan,
I think it's sort of bullshit.
Then it turns out that all of these countries that have sent people up to. It's not just Russians and us; it's others. There's been a lot of different nationalities up there. I guess they have in creating whatever contractual obligations they had to imagine crime occurring on the International Space Station, and
of course,
who would have jurisdiction? Blah 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 blah. So I mean, you realize that wow, this. But the fact that this is two Americans, doesn't rise to the level of imagine if somebody killed if there was a murder on the space station.
Well, I mean, that's not hard to imagine, and somebody will write that one of those days.
Well, why haven't they? The space station's been up there forever. Why? Maybe it has been written.
Because there's you got to get rid of the corpse, then you got to stay on it until someone comes to get you. It is a highly unlikely place to commit a murder on purpose.
You could get rid of the corpse easy. You just open the hatch.
And let it float away.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, somebody would notice.
What? That 6 people went up and only 5 came back?
Right.
Well, they stagger there. Somebody might. Who knows? Anyway. Ay.
There's a reason no one's written that yet. I mean, 2001 did it quite nicely, and then they left it there because the space there's just some inherent issues there. But go ahead.
No, I'm done. But whatever. I love it. Those are the stories I love.
Well, I'm glad you had some.
I do.
Because I just keep getting fascinated by, one miserable thing after another.
I know. Well, go punch the hell out of somebody, okay?
Oh, did we do it? I will. I am.
Yeah.
And she's such a lovely woman.
Go punch the hell out of her. Okay, Suze?
Okay, this is Pansy. That's my fighting name. Pansy, signing off.
Okay, bye, Pansy. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. And bye to the rest of ya. I'll be here tomorrow.